Hey friends, a couple of weeks ago I recorded a weird howl and I dubbed it the Siren Howl just because it kind of sounded a bit like a siren, and put it out there so other people could throw out their ideas as to what the heck it was. And I got a heck of a lot of responses, and one of them really piqued my interest, and that was a barred owl. Now, barred owls are certainly in Michigan. I've seen them and I've recorded them. And so I wanted to put the two sounds against each other to see if that might just be what it is. And I think this is probably a great idea, and it will add overall to the data that we have just looking into the whole idea of Sasquatch. And so when we're looking at the pros of it being a barred owl, or when we're looking at why it might be a barred owl, number one, Occam's razor. I mean, the simplest answer is probably the correct one. The two are relatively similar in tone, and they're definitely in the area. However, what's working against our barred owl is that there have been wood knocks and strange other howls. There is a weird ending to the Siren Howl that I recorded, and it's also kind of rare to get a single call from a barred owl. I decided let's take a look at both of them, and I sought other people to help me out. One of the first things I did is I talked to an ornithologist, actually several, to see if barred owls do make single calls. And while it's rare, it does happen. And one of them luckily had a barred owl single call that they had actually recorded and shared with me. And that's what you see here. That's a barred owl. The one over here is my recording. One of the things you notice is the higher quality recording here. This was just straight up without, I didn't clean up any of this. But a couple of things just there, looking at these, they look similar, they sound similar, and if you were to take, if I had a ruler I'd use it, but like a book and go across, they start at about the same area. But where they go, like take a look at this. That's interesting. And you go all the way up there for that. So the spectrogram of the known barred owl versus the unknown siren howl is a little bit different. Also, that this little doohickey there, I'm sure there's a scientific name for that, is interesting, and that little extra is also fascinating to me. All right, I'm going to have you listen to it one more time and tell me if it doesn't sound really close. Tell me if there are some things that sound different. Now, is that little extra maybe that's something that was created by a completely different animal, critter, another owl or something like that? I don't know, frankly. But here's what I am going to say about this audio. I don't know 100% what it is. And I'll tell you why. I'm kind of unsure because it's not an exact fit. This doesn't fit exactly. But there certainly isn't enough evidence to say that this is something like a Sasquatch. There just isn't. Even with the wood knocks, even with other howls and things like that, I'm not convinced. And here's the deal. Until we hear or see a Sasquatch making these sounds, you have to assume something that's normal. Maybe this is a barred owl that just is outside of the normal range of a barred owl. That's a possibility, and the reason being we know that barred owls exist for certain because we've seen them and we've had them in zoos and things like that. So, what have we learned and why is this useful for any of us to continue moving forward? Number one, it's important to compare data. Like, I spoke with a whole bunch of people, and I'll give them credit at the end, who helped me out, people that are much smarter than I am. And it's important to be able to do that. Next, it's also important to be open to other ideas. It'd be real easy for me to say, oh no, this is 100% a Bigfoot, and no matter what you say, you can't convince me otherwise. Well, that's not particularly helpful. Also, we've learned that you can be civil. Like, people emailed me, and they texted me, and they sent messages on YouTube and Facebook with their ideas, and I looked into them. Why wouldn't I? I was asking for help. And so if we're open to other opinions and other ideas, it's just going to make the search for the unknown a heck of a lot more civilized. And look to the experts. I asked ornithologists, bird studying people, to see if they thought that this might be a barred owl. And frankly, they were mostly certain it was a barred owl, but also not 100% sure. And so that's what keeps it fun. So guys, thank you very much for listening. Please, if you guys find any audio, share it with other people and try to be as civil as possible. We need a little bit more civility in the Bigfoot world. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening.